Hi friends, it's Mari from Mari Clark Creations. Thank you so much for stopping by today. I have a project just for fun today, which is something I haven't had a lot of time lately to do, so I'm really excited to share this process with you today. And I am starting off with a little bit of mixed media. So I've got a Vicky Bouton stencil on my desk here. I've got a piece of basil marshmallow cardstock that I have treated with some Finnabair gesso. I'm going to show you that right away here. I'm talking with my hands because I am actually FaceTiming my sister when I'm recording this, so definitely multitasking. I seem to be doing a lot of that lately. So if you see me waving my hands around, that's why. These are the two photos I'm going to scrap today. I have taken those photos through Lightroom and adjusted the light and the color. They're printed at 3.5 by 2.5 I printed them with my Epson Photomate printer. Love that little printer. And yeah, so these are the little photos I'm going to scrap. I'm going to talk a little bit about those photos as I'm scrapping them here today. So I just desaturated them, increased the exposure, dehazed them a little bit, sharpened them up, increased the clarity and the contrast. And I have got those all ready to go. So printed those out to get ready. Also grabbed a few mixed media products that you can see on my desk here. I've got some Vicky Bouton watercolors just to the right there. I'm also going to be using some Vicky Bouton matte acrylic gel, and I'm going to use that through the stencil and then put some of the watercolors over top. Now, when I started this, I wasn't really sure what I wanted to do. I knew I wanted to do some mixed media and just have fun and, just share some inspiration with you. And this is the gesso. I'm just showing you that now. This is the gesso that I've used over my paper. This is Finnabair Prima Art Basics Transparent Gesso. I love this stuff. It's actually been a little bit hard to find lately. I picked this stuff up curbside from Michael's. The one week I was checking it out, they didn't have it in stock. And then I checked again the next week and they had it. But I haven't been able to find it like on Amazon or anywhere like that. I feel like gesso has been selling out just like everything else. But I do really, really love this gesso because it dries super fast. It dries clear. It's not gritty. It doesn't yellow. It's really my favorite go-to gesso right now. So my paper's all dry. I'm good to go. And I'm just going to squirt out some of this gel medium on a piece of acrylic or just a piece of plastic over to the side of my desk there. Now I am just going to show you this acrylic that I'm using here, this plastic sheet. I just picked those up at Staples and they're like report covers. They're super thick, so you can use them for, applying product or whatever. You can also use them in mini albums if you want some acetate sheets in a mini album and that kind of stuff. So that's a really cheap way to get some good quality acrylic sheets into your stash. Now I am going to take a palette knife and I'm going to run that gel medium through this stencil. And I want this text to be in the background in a few different areas around my layout. And I want sort of like a whole background of product on here because I wasn't really sure what design I was going to use or anything. I just am just totally winging it today and didn't have a plan. I'm just having fun and trying out some products. So I'm going to just move my stencil around my layout so that I've got a little bit of that text here and there on my paper. And then I'm going to apply my watercolor over top. So here you'll just see me moving my stencil and I'm probably talking to my sister right now. And just working away on getting that gel medium down. So I'm going to put that down there and get it up at the top. And then I'm also going to go with a little area down at the bottom on the left as well. So you may have noticed I actually have nail polish on. It's gardening season here where I am, and so my hands and my nails have just been looking pretty rough. I've been using lots of hand sanitizer and washing my hands an awful lot, and so my hands are in rough shape. So I actually decided to give myself a mini manicure, and I did use the Olive and June manicure set to do that, which I love. So there you can see I've got that all on now, and this does dry matte. It's super shiny when you first put it on, but when it's dry, it dries nice and matte. And I would recommend actually preparing that ahead of time so that it has time to dry, because it doesn't dry super well with the heat tool, in that it takes a while and it does warp your paper a bit more. So I would recommend doing it ahead and letting it sit overnight or for a couple of hours. Now, I'm going to take some of that watercolor. I showed you the watercolor set, and I have swatched those out, and I just leave that swatch on the top of the box of the watercolors. I wanted to use kind of a teal because I am going to be using the One Canoe 2 Saturday Afternoon collection today. And so I used the watercolor that's kind of a teal tone, and you're just seeing me there watering it down just on that acetate sheet. And this is a fan brush, and it's a beautiful low Cornell fan brush that I have had in my stash forever because I used to do a ton of folk art painting. How many of you did folk art painting? Did you guys go through that phase? Maybe you still do folk art painting. I loved that, and I still love to paint, but I haven't folk art painted for a really long time. Now, what I really think is so cool about this fan brush is it kind of leaves lines on your paper, and I think that's a really cool effect. I think it creates a really neat just background and kind of a grungy distress look, and that's what I was going for. So I put some water at the top with my distress sprayer, and then I applied some paint, and I'm just kind of letting it run. And I'm not letting it run all the way down to where those lines are more dominant at the bottom from my fan brush. I wanted to just leave the fan brush effect down at that bottom. Now I'm just going to splatter on top of that, and I'm going to use that exact same technique on all of the areas of my paper. I will end up putting more paint down and just continuing on with this process. So there you see me spritzing the water on. I'm just going to take my fan brush over there. I'm going to apply some more of that color. At this point, I think I'm realizing I need more paint. I'm going to grab that little paint tube again and put some more of that down. The really fun thing about these watercolors is they're super inexpensive. There's a ton of pigment in them, and they're really great for crafting. It's not like you have to go spend, $20 for one tube of Danielle Smith watercolor. For crafting, for the purpose of scrapbooking, I highly recommend Vicky's palette because, well, one thing, it matches up with all of her collections. And another thing is it's super inexpensive and it's really good stuff. I like it. So just a little plug there for Vicky's paints. They are really awesome. So once I'm done that, I'm going to let this dry, and then I will splatter a little bit more on top of it. This was a really fun technique. If you don't have a fan brush, you can just let this drip down your page. It kind of would create the same effect, but I just like that the fan brush actually creates almost like, tiny little lines. And I thought that was just really cool. And I do like how that looks. I wouldn't run out and buy a fan brush necessarily if you don't have one, but there's probably lots of really inexpensive ones on the market too. I will check out, see if I can link something down below. So make sure you check the description box if you are interested in one, and see if I found one for you. But this low Cornell one probably wasn't inexpensive because I was using it quite a bit for painting techniques. Okay, so I showed you a little bit of an up close look at what this looks like. I really like it. I'm going to use my heat tool to dry this up so that we can go on to the next step. Now, once it's dry, I did want to go in and do more splatters because that's going to create a darker splatter, right? Because there's not going to be any water on there to water it down or to make it lighter. So I did want to just go ahead and do that. And then I thought, you know what? Vicky's new glaze medium, if you haven't seen it, it's the Creative Effects Prism glaze, and it is so pretty. And what I decided I wanted to do was water some of that down and spritz and splatter it on here too, because that's going to create some really pretty shine on the project. So I'm going to reach for that. Here it is. I've also grabbed one of the brushes from the first paintbrush set that Vicky came out with. I don't know if you can still find these. I know that there's new ones out now. She has a new set of brushes for her mixed media line, but I just grabbed the green one from the first set, and I'm just going to water down that glaze. Just add a little bit of water to it. You don't need too much. And because it is quite a, it's not, that glaze isn't super thick. It's got a little bit of liquidity to it already. So you just need to add just a little bit of water to it, and then you can just really easily splatter it. And I just love how it looks on top of the acrylic gel medium and the watercolor. I think it just adds a little bit of extra shine. And I will show you a close-up of how that looks when it's all dry. So you'll just see me splattering that on. I'm using my left hand there just to shelter the splatters, because if I don't, it goes all over my desk. And well, I got a lot of stuff on my desk right now. I'm not going to lie. It's actually a big mess, which is not uncommon. So there that is, going down that Creative Effects Prism Glaze. So pretty, and it's actually just the perfect tone for the watercolor that I chose here for this project. Now I am doing a masculine layout. This is a layout of my son, and so I did want to go with a more sort of like a masculine look, and I love this color. Look at that. It's so pretty. Sorry for that little shine now. This is the next day, and it's in the morning, and I get a little bit of like wonky light here. Now I'm taking my really ancient Creative Memories hexagon punch. I love this thing, and I still have all of my old punches from Creative Memories. Love them. And I used the Saturday Afternoon from One Canoe 2 collection to as my inspiration, and that's the collection I'm going to be using today for this hexagon idea. Now I'm not actually going to use those kind of corally toned ones. I thought I might use that color scheme, but I end up using more of the greens and the aqua and the navy on this layout, so you won't see me using the corally ones. I'm not sure really what's happening with my light here. I don't know if it's because it's morning or what, but here you can just see I'm crossing my fingers because I'm going to tear my paper, and I'm just really hoping that this is going to go okay. Because I really like my background so far, and I did not want to wreck it by wrecking this paper. So anyway, it does. It works out just fine. And I'm just going to tear a little bit off the top because I want to use that that really pretty tone on tone paper behind my project here. Now, here's the two photos as I showed you at the beginning. I'm just going to tell you a little bit about these pictures. My son recently moved. He had been living with us for a really short time, and he moved to the cutest little apartment. And so this picture here, I'm just going to mount this on some pink fresh pattern paper, is a picture of him in his apartment. And this is I think this is actually the day after we helped him move, and we went back and took a few more things into him. And we're just kind of relaxing and checking out all of the unpacking that he'd done, and his place just looked really super cute. Now I'm just taking a little bit of tissue paper. I'm going to layer that behind my photos, and I'm going to layer that on top of that pattern paper from Pink Fresh. I think that Pink Fresh paper is from My Favorite Story, perhaps. I just love that it's got that text on it, and it's also got that blue color that's part of my background and the other pattern paper. So I wanted to use that. So I'm just going to trim that up. And with my Creative Memories scissors, guys, wow, this is a real throwback to Creative Memories products that I have in my stash. Just take that old Stampin' Up stapler, which still works like a charm, and I feel like it's probably about 15 years old or more. And I'm going to take my Stampin' Up distressing tool, distress the edges of my paper, and I actually end up trimming the white border off of my photos, and I distress the edges of those photos as well, so that everything on the photo layers is going to be just really, really super distressed. I really like that look. I feel like it goes nice with kind of like that grungy background that I've got. And yeah, so I'm just going to work on kind of making things look more distressed. I've sewn through the edge there of my photo mat. I've stapled through the photos there, you can see, and everything's just kind of looking sort of grungy and distressed, which is great for that background. So Just gonna go and, oh, I'm just showing you here that I used that little Stampin' Up stapler to staple my photos. Now here, the little hexagon pieces, you can see I've distressed them. I've also sewn through those as well with my sewing machine. And I've pulled out that little house die cut from the Saturday afternoon collection. I've also pulled out a journaling card, which I'm going to use just as a layering piece on the project. Now I'm just going to take my tape runner here. I want to just make sure that my white paper is stuck down to that pattern paper underneath. And I did actually use the full paper. I didn't gut it or anything else behind there, just because it does really help my my white paper not to buckle and not be warped. So just having that extra paper behind there will really help stretch my paper out nice and flat. And I'm also going to do a little bit of sewing on that white paper to the paper behind it, and that'll also just keep it nice and flat. So now I'm just kind of thinking about the placement of things. I'm not really sure where I want them, and I'm going to mess around with that for a while, to be honest with you, until I feel like I have things in a place where I really want them. And since this project is about a new house and moving, I just thought that little house die cut piece was perfect. And it is in the same colors as the rest of the project, which is kind of like that really pale green and that beautiful blue tone. And then there's going to be some navies on here as well. So I don't know. I kind of heard a rumor that maybe One Canoe 2 was not going to be around anymore. Was that a rumor or is that real? I hope it's just a rumor, because I love all of their collections. And when I bought this collection, I bought it because I thought it would be really great for masculine layouts. And it's totally the case. It is perfect for masculine layouts. I really, really love this collection. Now you can see how I've moved things around a little bit from where I originally thought I was going to put them. And I decided that I wanted to cover up that bicycle on that journaling card because it had some orange on it and I didn't want to bring any orange into the project. Now I want to show you my new roll of tape, foam tape. I bought this on Amazon for like $16.99 Canadian or something like that. The only thing I don't like about it is you can't tear it, but that is the only downside. It is way cheaper than the 3M foam adhesive. I just cut it, and the release paper is plastic and it comes off super easy, and I really like this stuff. So it's called X Fasten, and I believe I paid something like $16.99. I think the 3M roll right now is something like $60. So I figured that was a pretty good bargain. Now I'm just going to start sticking things down. I've decided that I want to put my photos straight rather than wonky. So one's going to be slightly higher and on top of the other one a little bit. And now I'm just going to work on layering up my pieces. The bottom pieces are stuck down with the glue and the top pieces will have a little bit of foam adhesive on them. I've taken some of the stickers from that collection Saturday afternoon. Some of the little cut aparts, I've trimmed out little pieces from them, like that little camera. And I'm just working on embellishing here and figuring out how I want this layout to look. Now, there could have been, there is a spot for the title at the top, but there is also a logical spot for the title where that journaling card is. So I'm going to show you where I put it, and I'm going to sort of pick your brain about some other things here when we get to the end of the video here. So one of the things about this photo, the photo that's on the right, you'll notice there's a little sign there, and I don't know if you can read it, but it says, "Hippies use Backdoor." And Jordan's apartment has two entrances, a front entrance and a back entrance. The place is probably about 100 years old. I'm not exaggerating. It's a really old building, but that's one of the things that makes it super charming. It's all been redone. It's all been refinished. It's super cute. And this little back door is just the cutest and a perfect place for this little sign that he has that says "Hippies use Backdoor." So that's going to be the title for my project today. And there are alphas as part of this Saturday afternoon collection that are puffy alphas, and they're multicolored. And so I picked out the aqua and the navy ones. And I also used these, I'm going to use these, I think these are pink paisley, rose gold, and navy alphas. And there's rose gold on the layout. So I just thought that looked really great. I'm going to use a couple of the puffy hearts from Saturday afternoon. And there you can see how I've placed things. So I'm just taking a look at it now, and I'm just wondering about what else I want to do. I decided I'm going to ruffle up the edge of the bottom of my paper just by taking my distress tool, and I'm just going to distress that area. Now I am going to add some navy stickers from Chamel collection, and I want your opinion at the end. You're going to see a little transition, and then I will have added those navies to the project. And I want you to tell me if you think I should leave those on. So there's going to be some little navy dots, and there's going to be the word hello and an arrow. So I just was wondering what you think of that. Just I added them in to balance the top out with the bottom a little bit. And I just wasn't really sure whether I liked it or not, but I wanted to get your opinion, and I'm hoping you'll leave me your opinion in the comment section below. Now, I'm just showing you here where there's some stitching that's going to be added. I can't remember if I've added it at this point or if it's already there. I think I added it now, so I'm just showing you. I added some straight and zigzag stitching to those sides. And there's the title there. There would be a spot at the top for that title, but I decided to add it to the bottom. There is a logical place down at the bottom as well for the journaling, which I will add later. It could also be added on the back on a separate card. So here's that transition. You can see where I've added these navy pieces. Let me know what you think. I've got some little dots, the word hello, and an arrow, and I'd love to hear what you think. Thanks so much for stopping by today, guys. I had so much fun creating this project, and I love it when I have time to just dive into my stash and create just for fun. And I hope you enjoyed this today. Please make sure you check the description box down below for links to the products that I used today. Let me know what you think. Thumbs up or thumbs down to the additional pieces. Have an amazing day. Stay safe, stay healthy, and take care. And I hope to see you back here another time on my channel.